So, I, in my infinite wisdom, have decided to have whipped coffee before this recording and editing cycle. Good to know we will be heading directly to the Shadow Realm for this one. Chemical dependency. What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. The Advanced Player's Guide. I want you all to know that I've recorded this like 5 or 6 times. The thing about Pathfinder books always being Advanced X Guide is I've said Advanced Player's Guide, Advanced Class Guide, pretty interchangeably. Anyway, this week on Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit, and probably for the next, 5 or 6 anyway, if not a little more, we are going to focus on the content of the 2E Advanced Player's Guide and all the other stuff from this release cycle, because it's really good. There's a lot of really cool stuff to build around, and I don't know about you, but I'm super hyped. Anyway, today by patron request, the Investigator is up first. If you're liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. Remember, patronage at any tier gets you access to a Google Drive with a boatload of Google Sheets for any first or second edition character concept you have, basically. And if you're interested in playing some 2E, we actually are converting one of our patron games to 2nd edition to try all of this stuff out. So yeah, that can be a thing we can do, but I digress. Let's get investigating. Okie dokie. So the 2nd edition Investigator does a lot of really cool stuff, and I have had the honor and privilege of GMing in 1st edition for an Empiricist twice, and Vanilla Investigator. Basically every campaign, one of my patrons, who shall not be named, but who is also buying me a new set of headphones. So you're beautiful and amazing, and A+ to you, my friend. So I'd like to think I'm pretty close to this one. I understand how it works, and I've seen them go off in campaigns. That said, outside of the I need to vomit a somewhere in the 50s knowledge check about things, oh, by the way, did I mention I'm level 8? Haha, tell me everything. The Investigator has kind of fallen short, which sucks in a world where truly combat is so crucial. The most clutch mechanic, probably my favorite mechanic of the Advanced Player's Guide, and like seriously, folks at Paizo, if you're watching, I'm not even kidding. If someone, not all of you, mind, one of you, limit one, would be so kind as to go buy a drink for the person who came up with devise a stratagem, and then, like, shoot me the bill, as long as you don't go crazy also. I would have half a mind to Venmo the money over, because it's damn good. Check this out. For one action, it's got the Fortune trait, the Concentrate trait, and the Investigator trait. Turns out, you assess a foe's weaknesses in combat and use them to formulate a plan of attack against your enemy. Choose a creature that you can see and roll a d20. If you strike the chosen creature later this round, you must use the result of the roll you made to devise a stratagem for your strike's attacks. You make this substitution only for the first strike, not any subsequent. When you do, you can also add your int mod to your attack roll instead of your strength or dex, provided your strike uses an agile or finesse melee weapon, an agile or finesse unarmed attack, a ranged weapon, which must be agile and finesse if it's a melee weapon, or a sap. If you're aware that the creature you chose is the subject of a lead you're pursuing, you can use this ability as a free action. So this is just obscenely powerful in the 3-action economy universe. This is like baby divination wizard shenanigans right here. You've got 3 actions in a round. Let's say it's just a random encounter. This is not the guy you're chasing, just like 1d6 plus 1 bandits turn the corner or some noise. For one action, you roll a d20. The check results in a natural 20. Therefore, you know when you draw your crossbow and shoot them, you're going to critically succeed and hit. Then leaving one more action, presumably to reload the thing. However, let's say for that one action, you devise that stratagem and the d20 comes up a 2. That 2 was not wasted in a fumble in the RNG. Rather, you know that you're going to miss, and so you have 2 more actions to not waste your turn, basically. You can still get some value out of your action economy, whether that's step away from the fighter who's going to AOO you and then stride into a flank for the rogue, whether that's stride to a door and close the door, which, if I'm honest with you, is one of the most powerful things somebody can do in combat, especially in a world where it's very easy over the course of one turn for somebody to move 75 feet. Seriously, that makes the combat so fast, but also means folks can get away from you real easy. A little less so if they have to burn 25 feet of their movement to pop a door open. For 2 actions also, you could close and lock a door you're standing adjacent to. You could try to recall knowledge on something else. So on and so forth. The list is kind of limitless. This just ensures that when you hit, you know you're going to hit well. You become all reliable, all faithful, maybe not as flashy as the barbarian and the fighter in front of you, whose great axes are as big as your whole body as they cleave your body in twain, but that's okay. It is also exactly, in my opinion, what the investigator needed. Pursue a lead, basically the same thing that an inspiration dice did. You're still real good at all of that non-combat stuff. You're still real good at providing value off the battlefield, but now we have both. Anyway, let's optimize it. For today's Ancestry, we will be building around the Isoki. And why yes, friends, though the first 3 have been called in order, they will be, I believe, Orc Damn Fear Changeling. We are kicking up, starting next week, the Ancestry Anthology to get these covered. Right now, we're worried about an Ancestry that gets a buff to its Dex and Int, 2 things we love, and also has a lot of really clutch Ancestry feats to help us do what we do. We'll be playing a long snout rat Isoki as well, because scent is real powerful. Imprecise scent out to 30 feet will help you with that investigation stuff, so boom, there it is. A lot of my builds in 2nd edition will not necessarily call out a background unless the skill feat provided by the background is super important to us. In this case it is. We'll grab Meribite Prodigy so we can grab specialty crafting with alchemy to mildly foreshadow the kind of investigator we're building. And with our investigator class in order from most to least important, 18 intelligence, 16 wisdom, 14 dexterity, 12 constitution, 10 charisma, and 8 strength. We don't need to carry a lot of things, we just need to be real brainy. Alchemical sciences will be our methodology today. This gets us trained in crafting and the alchemical crafting skill feat and a standard formula book for free, as well as the formula for 2 additional common 1st level alchemical items, which must be elixirs or tools. Each time you gain a level, you learn the formula for 1 alchemical elixir or alchemical tool of any level that you could create. During daily prep, we can make a number of versatile vials, alchemical concoctions that can quickly be turned into elixirs and tools equal to your int. You can quick tincture it up for 1 action to make that happen. And in this one's humble opinion, that is the best use for the other 2 actions. Again, if you don't need to just like provide a flank, shut a door, or something very simple yet effective in combat when your stratagem comes up as a 2 or a 3. Got 2 actions left to mess with? Sure. Whip up an elixir and pass it to somebody, give them buffs, help them with poison. Never underestimate the value of a well-placed smoke stick or sunrod. Is that hour serendipitously about to tick off on your silver sheen and the werewolves are still coming? Yeah, no. Kind of falls in that same logic as old Treant Monk's Wizard Guide, right? If you help the barbarian kill the thing, do we give the barbarian credit for the kill or you? Yeah, right, exactly. Anyway, let's start this one with the Ancestry feats, I think. A lot of those are very useful for us. And you know, I almost was not adopted by halflings this time. We did it. So many people have given me so much shit for being constantly adopted by halflings. Well, the APG is giving me options that are on par, so that's a thing. Our 1st level Ancestry feat will be Rat Speak. You can ask questions of, receive answers from, and use diplomacy with rodents, including beavers, mice, porcupines, rats, and squirrels, but not with other mammals, such as dogs or bats. I'm kind of going out on a limb here, and assuming that if you're playing an investigator, there's probably gonna be some, well, investigation stuff happening. And truly, I think most TTRPGs have that. That's why the investigator is so cool with the out-of-combat stuff, is they're really great at moving the plot forward, but moving the plot forward in such a way that the squad is all very well informed of what's happening and able to hedge their bets against threats. I'm also going to go out on a very short limb here and assume in like every urban setting, you'll be able to find a mouse or a rat pretty darn easily. No witnesses? Let me go to the trash out back and see if I can find somebody who might have seen something. Really, it's just like with gnomes, I don't think you can underestimate the value of this. Until, I suppose, we double down on it next with Rat Familiar, aka a familiar you can auto-talk to, and can do all that scouting for you. Hey man, go get a warrant of your friends. We need to go set up a secret spy network, you say? Yeah, no, that's A+, 10 out of 10. Never underestimate the power of an intelligent creature that can just fade into the background and no one thinks about it. It's real good. Doubly so, I suppose, next for one action with rat form when we can just turn into the rat ourselves. It's like being the fly on the wall, except we're the rat on the floor, probably. And though this is called a battle form, remember this is all just scouting and exploration. And it's as powerful as your imagination, anything from just, I need to slip into a room and hang out there for a little while, to, they definitely know it's me. I need to hide in the fighter's backpack. And now I'm a rat, haha. Next we'll grab Warren Digger, because why would we not want a burrow speed of 15 feet? At this point, the strat might very well be, devise a strategy. Oh, that's a 2. I burrow 30 feet down for 2 actions. Goodbye! It also helps you get in under things, go around things, so on and so forth. Alternate move speeds, real shiny, and then halfling luck at the end. You knew you'd see it. Certainly we've already got a fortune effect on one roll, so we can't fire this off when we're devising stuff, but it might help on a save against a really painful save or die. Anyway, let's hit the class feats. One thing that surprised me about this one is we will not be archetyping the whole way through. It's just Investigator class feats and nothing else. Right out the gate at level 1, we will be taking That's Odd. When you enter a new location, such as a room or corridor, you immediately notice one thing out of the ordinary. The GM determines what it is or whether there's nothing reasonable to pick up, skipping obvious clues that can be easily noticed without a check specifically looking for them. You learn only that an area or object is suspicious, but not the why of it. So if you enter a study with a large bloodstain on the ground, the bloodstain is so obviously suspicious that it's evident already, so the GM might say there's something suspicious about a desk drawer instead. You would then need to go manually investigate the thing, and it doesn't auto-hand you the value. But I really, really like this feat. This is in no small part because when I play characters like investigators, wizards, magi, things like that, oftentimes I run into the problem of, well, my character is just a little smarter than I am, and I don't know how to roleplay that. And oftentimes, if the GM is just handing me clues without, like, spelling it out to me, it'll still just go way, way over my head. That's Odd helps to alleviate that, and it helps the investigator get the value of its class without, like, relying on the player also being that smart, which is sometimes just so necessary. We'll immediately follow that up with Red Herring at level 2. When you pursue a lead, the GM tells you if the lead you've chosen is inconsequential. For example, if you found a splatter of gray mud on the wall, thought it was suspicious, and pursued it as a lead, the GM would tell you there was no greater mystery related to it. When the GM tells you a lead is inconsequential, you can decline to pursue the lead, keeping any leads you are already pursuing. You can't still use it for 10 minutes as normal, but again, combine this with the first one, and these two just help you get to level 3 really, really quickly. This is the plot thing, go find the plot thing. Comboed out with, this is a pretty thing, I'll explore into it, when it's nothing and just flavor text and won't actually move forward the story if there's a big railroady kind of plot. Making sure you don't burn half the session chasing something you shouldn't be, which might also give time for whatever you're trying to investigate to get away, get worse, so on and so forth. Accessibility, that's what that is. Alchemical discoveries at level 4. Gives you the formula for 2 additional alchemical items each time you level up instead of 1. Still have to be elixirs or tools, so if you're wanting poisons, you'll have to go, like, buy them. You get more versatile vials per day based on your proficiency in crafting, which, again, helps us just make sure we can do the thing we're supposed to do and remain very, very versatile on the field. Oh, I didn't know we'd need anti-plague. 1 second. Boom. There it is. Next up, connect the dots. Ephemeral connections between people, places, and concepts are invisible to most, but seeing them is your role in the party. You spend 10 minutes considering 2 different leads you're pursuing. You then attempt to check to investigate how connected they are. Unless the GM determines otherwise, this is a crafting check if they're both items, or a society check for other combinations of leads. If any of the subjects are creatures, the check usually uses the highest DC amongst their deception and will DCs. If none of them are creatures, but at least one is an item, usually a hard DC. Neither case applies. The DC is usually a hard expert DC or a hard master. Once you try to connect the dots, you can never try to connect the dots between those same leads again, unless the GM allows it after you learn some new things. On a critical success, the GM tells you how connected the two leads are to one another: highly connected, somewhat connected, tangentially connected, or not at all connected. The GM also tells you one specific way in which they're connected if they are. A success gives you one of the four, but not that specific. Nothing from a failure, and a crit failure will give you erroneous information. It's again just like Baby Diviner Wizard. I've come upon the grave of an enormous Kraglenorm hanging out in the mountains. Is this related to the Lich I'm looking for? Roll connect the dots, making sure your party stays focused, making sure you're getting your goals accomplished, and not missing out on things because you tangented off. It's just value. Whodunit is next. Once per day, when you pursue a lead, you can spend 10 minutes instead of 1 minute to ask 2 questions of the GM as you complete the activity. The GM must answer truthfully with yes or no, though if the answer would be misleading or have no practical application to what's going on, the GM can answer immaterial. So this is commune, a very limited commune. Was the clue left by various creature traits, left within the last hour, left within the last day? Was the creature that left the clue in a heightened emotional state? Did the creature attempt to conceal this clue? All of which can be used to further the plot, try to tie dots together. It gives you the tools to actually role-play out an investigation, but it gives you them in a very concrete way where you will get definitive yes or no, move the plot forward kind of thing, instead of just like you having to figure out what these tools are on your own. Ongoing strategy. On any strike for which you didn't devise a stratagem, you still deal precision damage equal to your number of strategic strike damage dice, so long as the weapon or unarmed attack you used is the one that would have let you do your int stuff. God, that makes that even better, doesn't it? Devise a strategy, know you're gonna crit. You also now get precision damage on top of that crossbow bolt, which is doubled on a critical, and oops, somebody got Nova'd to death. Wow! Next up it is Reason Rapidly. For 1 action, get 5 recall knowledge checks. We did this one in the playtest, still just real good. That could be 15 recall knowledges in a turn. Do you necessarily need 15 in a turn? Probably not. But since your knowledge checks are secret, if you vomit 5 at one thing, I'm betting you're gonna land at a critical success with that high intelligence of yours at least some of the time. This should make sure you get really accurate information, or in combat, if you just need a bunch of knowledge right now, there it is. Next up, as a reaction, foresee danger. When a creature targets you with an attack and you can see them, the triggering attack roll targets, instead of your armor class, your perception DC, which will in fact eventually be legendary. Oops, suddenly my armor class is much higher than you thought it would be. Next, plot the future. You spend 10 minutes in contemplation to uncannily predict how events will play out. Choose a particular goal or activity you plan to engage in within 1 week, or an event you expect might happen within 1 week. You analyze whether it's likely to come to pass, learning whether it's highly likely, kinda unlikely, or highly unlikely. You also gain a piece of advice suggesting a course of action you or your allies could take that might make the chosen event more or less likely, whichever you prefer. Shout it from the rooftops, Baby Divination Wizard, there it is. Next, reconstruct the scene. Spend 1 minute surveying a small location, such as a single room, to get the impression of events that occurred there in the last day. This involves moving about the area and studying footprints, the placement of objects, spilled drinks or blood, and so forth, but you get an instinct mental impression of significant events that happened there. This gives you clues and details of the past, including overall events in their time frame, but it's not perfect. It also isn't enough to identify who was involved in these events if you weren't already aware the person was there. As determined by your GM, you also pick out various seemingly small details that could serve as important clues, like a memorable weapon, someone used for a murder, or so on and so forth. Okay, I kinda like this one just on flavor. I've been GMing for an occultist, and I really have enjoyed object reading just because I get the flavor text ad nauseam, and this would allow you to do that, but also, what happened in this room of the last dungeon of our run yesterday? It was done with that. Hey guys, we should expect this kind of monster, with the knowledge check afterwards. Just seems real powerful to me. Lastly, just the facts. You are permanently quickened and can use the extra action to recall knowledge. Your checks to recall knowledge are no longer secret, meaning the GM no longer has to roll for you. That's nice. When you recall knowledge, you use the outcome for 1 degree of success better than the results. And if an effect would give you inaccurate information, you know which information is inaccurate. When one of your allies does this and gains false information, you also know that's inaccurate. It feels like a weird capstone, but as 2nd edition rolls on and on, farther and farther forward, and we see more scary endgame monsters than just, what, the 3 we have right now? I believe it's just Tree Razor and a couple of Rovagug's misbegotten children. Being able to know their weaknesses, if any, super good. Even better to know when someone fumbled into something and is going to play right into their hands. Which, again, is part of just what makes the Investigator so much more powerful now. Before the combat starts, in exploration mode, you're divining, you're making sure everybody who's not quite as smart, and you, the player, who might be something other than a private investigator by day, weird, has all the tools to make sure you can do that and remain on track, remain moving forward, having accurate information and applying that accurate information in ways that we are supposed to. In combat, not only are your attacks striking a little more, well, dare I say, perfect, you also have that freedom in combat to bounce around and do other things. Lastly, for our general feats, incredible initiative at 3rd, then it's toughness, not die hard this time, just a little bit of extra HP. Canny acumen for our fortitude save, then adopted by halflings. Lastly, true perception. This is a new one. If you're legendary in perception, you are constantly under the effects of a 6th level true seeing spell, using your perception mod for the counteract check. I don't think I need to tell everyone how good that is. And lastly, for our skill feats, there are some in the document that I think would be good. Obviously, like the skill feat things are highlighted, but since this class gets just so many skill feats, whether or not you want to devote them to even more crafting or battle medicine or anything at all, you basically have the run of the joint. So those are mostly up to you. But that's all the time we have for today. What do we think? Have we rolled these up? Are we playing them? What do you want to see next? Let me know in the comments. And so much for your time. I'll see you next week.